Hello, everyone. Sura here. I am a meditation coach and trainer. Today, talking about anxiety and why we experience anxiety and stress. It's basically our body's way of saying that something's wrong. It's our body system saying, red alert, something's not right here. And we've all experienced anxiety at some point in our lives. We've experienced it with doubt and fear when we're not sure what we're doing, or we have to approach something new, or maybe we're in something old that we know we need to get out of. And anxiety can really be a sign of spiritual misalignment. It really does seem that our birthright is to experience peace and to have access to peace at all times. So when we have anxiety, instead of thinking that it's bad and that it's something you need to get rid of, see if you can stop and listen to your anxiety. See if you can take a different approach. And you'll find that if you do this, you'll learn so much more about yourself. You'll be much more connected to your core when you take time to listen to any negative emotion that's coming up in you. And during these times, a lot of people are feeling emotionally triggered due to political, civil unrest, uncertainty, the pandemic. There's just a lot that's not certain. There is crises, and it's a time when people feel more anxious in general. So it's important to learn how to tend to your anxiety. And I want to share some other reasons you might be experiencing anxiety, that it's not just the fear of not having the resources to deal with life. Oftentimes we feel overwhelmed and we become anxious because we think things are coming at us and we don't have the internal resource to effectively meet life or to deal with life. So we start to become anxious. Our breath rate increases, our mind rate increases, we become frenetic and chaotic inside, and it can turn into a panic attack. So there are other reasons we can have anxiety, not just because it's stress induced. So I'm going to share with you some other reasons. So the first is past unfelt emotions or trauma. Anxiety can be a symptom of not feeling your, hard emotions. If you've had something traumatic like PTSD, not taking time to heal those past emotions. So if you've had something in the past where you've had a lot of grief or sadness, anger, betrayal, abandonment, and you haven't really taken time to be present with those emotions, anxiety is like a lid. It kind of keeps those emotions, it represses those emotions, and it manifests as anxiety. So any emotions that have not been expressed or experienced during the time of stress and trauma can get trapped in our psyche and our body and our energy. And anxiety is like the cap on top. It's like when you have the pot that's boiling over and you're trying to keep a lid on it. That's anxiety. It's the lid on top of those unfelt emotions. And in our society today, we don't really take time to process our life experiences. For most of us, like, we're very busy. Maybe we have a lot of responsibilities. So we're just going from day to day to this to that all day long. You know, our schedules might be really busy, but you might have had an exchange with someone and you didn't allow yourself to process it. You didn't allow yourself to be with it. You just kind of trap it inside, repress it, or push it away. And it's this kind of emotional response that can cause anxiety. So that's the first reason you might have anxiety. The second is from your environment and the people who are around you. So I don't know if you've ever been with somebody who has anxiety. Personally, I have, and that's a good way to experience anxiety is through other people. If you're surrounded by people who are stressed out, really more in their mind space and they're rushing and they're frenetic, then, and you're somebody who's more sensitive and empathic, it's easy for you to pick up on that. It's easy for you to go into environments like a shopping mall and feel that frenetic energy of consumption, you know, getting and buying and being in that, and you don't feel peace in those places because you're tuned into your environment and you're picking up on the energy of your environment. So that's a second reason you could be experiencing anxiety. It could be anywhere at the workplace or at home, or some of the people that you engage with. And you might notice you engage with certain people, you feel either more anxious or more calm, or, you know, just being aware of your inner state. And so I won't go too deeply into all of these and how to remediate each one of them. But we do teach these tools, they're energy tools, on how to stay in your own center and be connected to your own center of peace while being able to, you know, engage freely in life. And that really comes with developing a meditation practice and developing these energy tools of being centered and grounded so that you don't take things on. You don't absorb like a sponge what's happening around you. The third thing is not listening to your intuition. So this is closely tied to being spiritually misaligned, is that we might know we're not in a good situation. We might know on some level, I'm not in the right job, I'm not in the right relationship, or this friendship is no longer serving either of us. You know, we might know these things inherently, but we don't know what to do about them. So we just stay in them. And when we stay in them and we don't really listen and honor our own experience and what's happening for ourselves, or acknowledging in honesty what's happening. And especially, I feel that denial and anxiety go hand in hand. So if you're in a situation and you're in denial or you're betraying yourself on some level, it's going to bring up anxiety. That energy goes somewhere, and now you have to pretend, or you have to act like you're in it when you're not really in it. And that misalignment of not being authentically connected to the truth of your experience causes anxiety. So if you're in a situation like that where you're not listening to your intuition, where you're not, you know, leaving the job or leaving the place where you know you're supposed to be leaving, or going somewhere else, you know, taking action on something, then this can cause this inner conflict, the inner chaos of anxiety. The fourth reason is actually being in danger. So not all anxiety is just anxiety to be cast aside, you know, like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling that. I should just be feeling peace at all times. No, there's a reason why we have anxiety triggers. They set off our stress response, the fight or flight. And there are cases we might be in a situation where there is a threat to our safety and well-being. I know for myself, when I was traveling by myself through India or other third world countries, I would the way I knew something wasn't right when I was traveling by myself, especially if it was at night, is I would start to feel anxious out of nowhere. I would have a feeling of anxiety, and my body was somehow tuned into something beyond my conscious mind. And anytime I felt that, I listened, I would take action. The moment I started to feel anxiety or the energy of fear or the fact that maybe I could be in some danger as a single female traveler, I think this protected me. Our anxiety is very closely linked to our intuition. It can speak to us through our intuition. So sometimes we are in actual danger. It might even be, for example, like I said, a relationship or a connection that really isn't in service to either a higher purpose or in service to you. And so you're going to have this feeling of anxiety because the energy isn't really there. And maybe it is a liability to you in some way. Maybe it's a spiritual liability. You know, when we're in situations that don't resonate with us, they can become toxic. You know, toxic in the sense that, you know, now we're not really in alignment with who we are, and we keep, you know, moving in another direction to like where our spiritual self really wants to go, our true spiritual potential and our energy, because we're not listening. And we know on some level, I'm not spending my time in a conducive way, or I'm not, this isn't a fruitful endeavor. So not listening to your intuition can cause anxiety. On the flip side of that, if you listen to your intuition, you'll find that it releases anxiety. That when you listen and you take action on your intuition, it releases anxiety. So being aligned is a key aspect to feeling peaceful and centered. So the fifth reason is fearful, negative thoughts. So just the way we think, the nature of maybe how you're used to thinking. Perhaps you had a parent who was always worrying about what could go wrong in the future. And so that's how their brain and the way they thought everything was wired. So everything that they said to you was, oh, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And everything's fear-based. And now you think that way. You think of everything that can go wrong all the time. It's always from a negative point of view, because we think on some level that worrying and fretting over something protects us, that it serves a purpose to worry and to be fearful about what could go wrong. But actually, it misaligns us automatically. The moment we start focusing our attention on what can go wrong or what could be bad or what's the worst thing that can happen, that's what we start to manifest. We manifest right from our thought process. And all of those negative, fearful thoughts, they stream right into your body and right into the reality of your experience. So even if it's something positive, you're stuck in a negative state, because anxiety has a lot to do with the possibility of what can go wrong in the future. So the key is to really, through meditation, look at the way that you're thinking and how the way that you're thinking can be causing you suffering and also anxiety. And make an effort to change the way you think. Make an effort to be present in this moment. Take a breath and say, I'm okay right now. Right now, I'm good. And affirm that to yourself over and over and over again, especially if you have these negative thoughts. What happens with negative thoughts, scientists say we have 80 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and that the majority of them are negative because we're wired to have negative thoughts. That's how we've survived in the past. So keep in mind that there are neural pathways that support negative thinking. So when we meditate, we're creating new neural pathways. We're actually opening up the brain. We're making the brain more plastic, more malleable, so that we can have new thoughts, new insights, and new perspectives that really open us up, help us to become more heart-centered, help us to see from a compassionate perspective, even towards ourselves. So if we start taking a more compassionate perspective towards ourselves, when we think negatively, that can help us shift the quality of our thoughts so that we're less anxious. 6. So like I said, misalignment with your spiritual path. So when you're not aligned on your true path, you feel it. You might not have the words to describe what it feels like. Actually, Joseph Campbell, he did say it as, you're either on the beam or you're off the beam. And you know when you're on the beam and you know when you're off the beam. So when you feel yourself off the beam, it can feel like anxiety because you know, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. You might not know what your path is, but you know what you're living is not your true path. And true path is really not just an actual path or what it looks like. It's not your title. It's not just your lifestyle and where you live. It's actually a state of being within you. It's a state of being in you that is connected, that's in flow, that feels expansive. You know, when you're walking this path, it's a path that's leading you and centering you in something good, loving, and positive. So it doesn't necessarily matter, the things that are in your life, it's your state of being. And anxiety reflects a state of being. So as you start taking actions towards your true path, whatever that may be for you, that's just for you, not anybody else to understand or for them to feel looks good in their eyes, but for you, you will start to feel that extra anxiety slough away because you'll know that you're steadily on your own path, and it feels really, really good when you're walking your true dharmic path. It's very centering, it's very peaceful, and you feel confident. Even if you might not know what's going to happen, you still have those inner states of being within you. And that's how you know. And then lastly, you can suffer from anxiety from negative emotions. And emotions, I think, are similar to the way we have negative thoughts. So we might be used to thinking in a certain negative way about things, trying to pull out what's bad from a situation or really focus on that. And the same is with negative emotions. We can actually become, in a sense, addicted to having the same kind of emotions over and over and over again. So we might feel doubt and we'll experience doubt over and over and over again. And that is very closely linked to anxiety. A lot of times when people have anxiety, they have a lot of doubt. They don't have confidence. They don't know how to make a decision. They don't know what's right for them. So having a lot of the same negative emotions like fear, stress, and doubt over and over and over again will create anxiety and make you feel ill at ease. It will make you feel restless, chaotic, and unsettled inside. So these are 7 reasons why you could have anxiety. There's even more reasons beyond this. But the reason I wanted to share with you these reasons is that, like I said, anxiety can be tell us different things. Anxiety is a messenger. It's showing us where we need to come into balance, what we need to heal, and how we can grow. So when we tune into our anxiety, and I'm going to walk you through some steps that you can practice and share some unconventional practices for you. When we listen to our anxiety, then we can really take the right action towards alleviating it or bringing it into balance. So it's also finding out why we have anxiety.